Today, Kurly will be sharing top energy tips for business flow. Can you a little bit introduce yourself? So tell our listeners what you do, how you came to this field.
Yes, of course, Inga. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me on. I'm absolutely delighted to be on here. And let me introduce myself. I am a Feng Shui master. What that basically means is I have mastery or expertise in this area, which has been built over 30 years. And so I have had a corporate career. I worked in the boardrooms of the BBC, but this was my absolute passion. And long story short, I basically was a very, very, very sick child. And I used Feng Shui to heal myself in my mid to late teens. And so, you can't get more passionate about something, can you, than if you are the walking, talking piece of living miracle evidence, which is what I am. And, I'm fortunate enough to have done this for 30 years approximately now. And I have clients that get results, boom results every day of the week, texts and things that pop through. And I really, really am looking forward to giving your listeners some fantastic tips to have them go boom as well.
Excellent. I'm really excited and looking forward to hearing your tips. But also what I've noticed from our first conversations that you explain Feng Shui differently and completely from, let's say, stereotypical presentation. Can you talk us through, please?
Of course. Okay. So most people that have heard of Feng Shui these days, and thankfully it's not like 30 years ago where, really, what's that? Most people have come across Feng Shui or heard of it spoken of somewhere. And some people have been fortunate enough to read about it or actually have a consult of some sort. So they will have come across Feng Shui and it's very confusing, the information that's put out there. People are not quite sure, is it to do with design or is it to do with houses or it's to do with offices? It's something about buildings or space. And here's what I like to tell people. I like to simplify it right down, all the way down, because that's where the most powerful understanding and application comes from. Feng Shui is simply about this one principle alone. From the moment that you were born to the moment that you transition on from this planet, hopefully it's a long time, we are all in this environment. There's never a moment that you're not in the environment 24/7, whether you're asleep, whether you're conscious of it or not, you're in this environment. And this environment is affecting all of you all of the time. Now just think about that for a second. We've all walked into a room and thought, wow, I love this space. And you've gone, your whole body's gone, right? And from that space, because it was like that, the event where we met, wasn't it, Inga? You operate better, you have better conversations, better connections, you make better deals, ideas come through with that much more clarity, you have better thinking, you feel better, you become healthier, you have a happier time. I mean, the list is endless. And conversely, just before I finish, we've all been to a space and you've walked in and you've thought to yourself, and this applies to me as much as anybody, and you've thought, oh my God, I hate this space. And you think, right, let me just get this over with and out. I'm out, right? Do you think you have a good conversation in that space? Do you think you come up with the best deals and solutions? No, of course not. So this is what Feng Shui is about. Feng Shui is not about the buildings. The buildings are amazing canvases and tools. The gardens, the spaces, the cars, the environment basically. But it's about you. It's always, always, always about people, about you and me, and how we can best operate and set up our environment to power forward our goals. I have clients ring me up and saying, I need more money. And the first thing I say to them is it because there's something wrong with the flow in, the flow out, or it's all fine, you just want more? And regardless of which one of these it's about, we can set up your environment really, really simply without redecorating, knocking down walls to make that happen. And that's what Feng Shui is about, Inga.
This is beautiful. And it reminded me when we did Magical Creators Live event in October, and when we entered the room, it felt like a magic chambers. And it felt like a place where transformation is bound to happen. And it truly, the transformations that people got during the event was miraculous. And so the new place that I chosen for the same feel, so that it is like a space for miracles to happen. And you're right, it's so important to feel that energy.
Well, Inga, think about it. There is very rarely a conversation that happens these days where different levels and types of expert don't refer to the environmental factors. You talk about genealogy, you talk about biology, you talk about quantum physics. Regardless of which arena you go into now, people have really started to cotton on how important environmental factors are. In fact, there is talk in the medical, the scientific community about how people carry genes of diseases and all sorts of things in their body, in their DNA, and they can carry these things their whole lives. But it's only when the environment that's created triggers it that it kicks into play a particular disease. This is where you can have people in the same family with the same history of biology, the same, they're carrying the same DNA, but somebody gets cancer and somebody doesn't. Somebody gets an infection and is constantly poorly and somebody isn't. It's incredibly exciting area to learn about as well.
Well, it sounds magical. The more we talk, the more I want to learn more about Feng Shui. It's magical. How can we increase business flow?
First of all, you have to remember that nothing in this whole universe operates in isolation. This is a really, really, really important principle. And I want to top and tail this whole interview process with you today. If you guys, you gorgeous people, take anything away, I want you to really, really, really think this through. Allow the seeds that I'm placing in your minds to germinate and grow and flourish, and apply it to everything, okay? Nothing in this universe operates in isolation. That means you don't go to a doctor's and say, oh, I've got a cough and cold and this, and then say, but only look at this part of my body, forget the rest, right? But we do that in business. We do that in business. In business, and especially entrepreneurs, and I'm just like you guys, by the way, just like Inga. We're all in the same boat. We're all entrepreneurs to a degree, right? And I define entrepreneurs as people who don't just go out there to make money and create something new and innovative. But mostly these days, entrepreneurs are entrepreneurs because they want to make a difference of some sort. They really want to impact the world in a way that changes people's lives, moves them forward in a tangible and lovely way that makes a significant impact on their lives, right? So I know you're listening to this, all of you, and thinking, come on then, give us a tip, right? But before I do, your business does not operate in isolation from the rest of your lives. This is why personal development is such a huge arena and industry, and growing, a bit like the diet industry is for people around their physical body form. I mean, it just keeps growing beyond. They think it can't grow any further, and then it boom grows some more, right? And it's the exact same with business, personal development, personal growth, etc. So if this is the case, that Your business does not operate in isolation. When you use the tips that I'm about to give you, I want you to think more widely than your business, please. Inga, does this make sense?
Absolutely. So I'm mesmerized with you. So keep going.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so the very, very first tip that I want to give all of you is so simple, you're going to think, oh my God, no, it can't be that simple. Well, it can be. You literally can create magic with these things. I've seen it done, okay? I do it myself. I use all of these tips that I'm giving you, by the way, okay? So the very first thing that you want to do, here's some meowing. It's the cat. She's beautiful. She's really old. Okay, she wants to in on the conversation. So very first thing that I would like you to think about and then do something with it, okay? It's no good just thinking about it. And we're all guilty of hearing something, being mesmerized, as you say, and then doing nothing with it, right? So clear desk policy. When you're an entrepreneur, you have so much going on in your life. It's easy to have a pile for this and a pile for that and a folder for that and a scribble post-its over here and all of this, right? Well, let me tell you something. You don't need to be a Feng Shui master to go into somebody's house and be able to tell when somebody's seriously depressed or their life is in upheaval. You and I, we've all been to houses or offices where you look around and all you see is complete chaos, right? And you can see that the place has been let go, just like the person is letting go of themselves, right? Something's let down, the vibration is down. Listen to the languaging. I would like every single one of you to give yourself 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes when you're going to shut down. That is, nobody and nothing should go into that time. It should be that sacred to you when you realize the power of this and how it changes how you operate throughout the day, not just in what you do down here, but in here, the whole synergy, okay? And clear your desk. So in the morning, here's what it looks like, because if you've done it the night before, you think, what do I need to clear in the morning?
Yeah, it was exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah, right. So here's what you do. In the evening, you clear your desk and then you get a piece of paper and you take everything out of your mind that you didn't get done, that couldn't be done, you didn't have time, that you're like, oh, if only I could just, maybe I'll just use my 10 minutes or I can work over half an hour. The kids can wait for their supper or whatever else is going on, right? So at the end of the day, you clear your desk. Clear your desk does not mean bring it all together, pile it up. Okay, now that's tidy and it's clear. That does not mean clear. Clear means organizing yourself. That means taking, and that's why you give yourself 10 minutes, putting it into piles, okay? Filing things that need to be filed, okay? Because it's not out of your mental space until it's complete and it's filed away. So if you literally just pile it all up, guess what? You'll pile it up here too. Then instead of having clutter, what you'll have is a constant, there's this and this and this to do and that to do and this to do, right? There's a pile in your head then. Can you see how this works?
Absolutely. I'm looking at my desk now.
We all want to look at your desk now. And let's be honest, right, listeners?
Yeah, it's not it's not like a top notch. It's exactly what you describe. And it's exactly because I have so many things happening at once. And I do feel that I need to keep up with whatever happens in my life.
Okay, so here's what you do, Inga. Okay, here's what you do, everybody. Because if you get any entrepreneur say to you that they don't have this situation, they're lying. I challenge them. The very nature of being an entrepreneur means even when you're on top of things, you get new ideas, right? So there's always lots to do, and it feels itsy bitsy. Okay, but that's a great thing. Okay, so organize your desk at the end of the day, and the very last thing you don't do this first. Okay, the very last thing you do is you get a piece of paper, make sure it's blank, so don't add to a previous one. Okay, blank sheet of paper, and you write down, like a brain dump or verbal diarrhea, you write down everything that needs to be done. And what you're doing is you're taking it out of your human energetic space and you're putting it onto a paper where it's safe, you won't forget things. Okay, and then you get 3 colored pens. Okay, and you put them to the side of that piece of paper for the following morning. Okay, and that's what you do when you're doing a clear desk policy in the evening. In the morning, what you're going to do is you're going to get that same piece of paper. You want to get your 3 colored pens that are like traffic lights. Okay, before you use the colored pens, add on anything else that's come into your mind space. Add it onto your list. It's okay. It's okay if it's this long. It's okay if it's this long. Okay, and what you're going to do is the very first thing you're going to do is you're going to prioritize. Okay, now you're going to use your 3 colored pens. Guess what red is for, Inga?
The least important things?
No,
Oh.
Red is stop. This is really important. Everything else stops for this.
Okay.
Urgent. Red means urgent. Okay, imagine, just think, when you see traffic lights, if you see red, you go into action to brake, right?
Yeah.
But if you see green, you just carry on with the flow.
I see. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why we use red for, okay, this is top priority. So let's say, I don't know, let's say it's the tax bill is due today, right? If the tax bill is due today, then it's top priority. It needs to get sorted. That will be red. Anything that is, oh, it's okay, it doesn't matter, this can carry on, I just want to know that it's there, that's green. Okay, and then anything in between that's not yet a red and super urgent or important, these are 2 different things, urgent or important, you will mark with amber or yellow. Okay, because it's going to be the next important thing. Then what do you do with that? Then, and this is the next energetic tip, okay, because when we see a long to-do list, Inga, every single one of us, doesn't matter how organized you are. I used to be a top-level executive assistant, okay? There is nobody more organized in the world than I am, right? I mean, I won industry awards for it across the top firms and stuff, right? But even I see a long to-do list, so my first thought is, oh, star, star, star. Right? So what you do next is, you're only allowed 3, by the way. Okay, that's the rule for this to work. You look at all your reds and you decide, what can I complete today? What can I complete today? Why is this important? Because a completion is a completion. It makes you feel good, a sense of achievement, right? So wholeheartedness is about completion, wholeness. So there's an energetic something powerful that happens for you as an individual person, as a human being. Your self-belief, your self-respect, your self-trust, your self-confidence goes bigger. And this is really important as an entrepreneur, because your motivation, your drive, all of that comes from these selfie words, right? It's the one situation where selfies are good. Self-confidence, self-trust, self-belief, self-worth. So many words like that, okay? The second thing that happens with focusing on 3 completions is, when something is done and dusted and it's gone, it clears a space for something new and powerful to happen every single time. And it allows you to breathe. It stops this overwhelm building up in your lives, and it encourages the energy of calm and competence. And with that comes clarity, more creativity, and generally a sense of fun and enjoyment through the business life. Are we okay with that tip? There's actually 3 or 4 tips in that one.
Yeah, absolutely. But you're right, it's easy. But the danger of an easy tip is that it's easy not to do it. So it's so easy to dismiss it.
Yes.
So it just to remember that we need to do.
So here's what I would say to anybody who feels that way, because by the way, we all do it. We think something's so easy, we put it off, or we think, oh, we need 2 minutes for that. I don't need 10 minutes. Right? We've all done that too. I've done it. So here's what I would say to you for that. The second you go into overwhelm, you know how much you need this tip. And that happens at least once every day, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So here's what I'm challenging every single person watching this to do. Use this tip for 14 days straight, right? Just 14 days. Anybody can do that, especially if you only work a 5-day week. That's 10 days that you're going to do this tip, 2 weeks. Inga, you included, please, right? And see what happens. Watch the miracles start flooding in. Okay, so the reason why I'm giving you these tips in the way that I'm giving you these tips, guys, is because it's really, really important to so totally get that a successful business comes from a successful business experience unfolding. What does that mean? It means that if you're living a frazzled life, guess what? A frazzled business is going to show up. If you're living a business life that you're really enjoying, that you really feel on top of and feels powerful, the business that comes out of that is equally powerful and impactful and in flow. Because remember, this is about top energy tips for business flow. Flow, if you look out in nature, doesn't happen like that, right? It's never forced. If you look out in nature, it starts off with a trickle, which turns into a stream, which turns into a bigger stream, eventually into a small river, a big river, an estuary, and then a sea. Right? But what's the key point here? It starts off small, it builds consistently, and it builds upon its own momentum, organically takes on its own life. So that's why you don't just clear your desk for 14 days in the end. When you start to see it happen, you don't stop and think, this is going to carry on by itself. A stream, the water in a stream doesn't look and say, oh, look, it's doing well. We can stop right here. It's going to carry on by itself. Can you imagine if every droplet decided to do that? You know what? I'm just going to sit down here. I'm going to stay right here now. The river's doing its thing. No, no, no. Okay, so the next tip is, it sounds a bit more like traditional Feng Shui, but I want to give you the logic behind this one too. So the next tip, again, sounds very simple, but my God, there's a lot of power in this. So Inga, I can see there's a wall and I think a curtain behind you where you're sitting.
Yeah,
right?
it's a corner, and then there is doors to the balcony.
Okay, so most entrepreneurs these days, they're working from home or from very small shared offices. There's a lot of, they're all over the country, the world now. There's lots of offices where, there's lots of entrepreneurs in their hot desking and they've rented tiny little spaces, etc. And the danger is in these spaces or in the home, right, that they put their desk facing a wall and they're looking at a wall. Yeah? So here's what happens with that. You look at a wall, and we as human beings, we need space to grow. Yeah? So subconsciously what happens is you look at the wall closes in, and it gives you a stop boundary, a limitation. It puts limitation into your human experience in every sense of the word, in the very essence of your being, your breathing, your vision. You know, you can't necessarily reach out, and there's just all this space, right? There's a limitation in there. And so in Feng Shui, the thing to do is to face your desk away from the wall, okay? So you have a support behind you. Because let's face it, we go to a restaurant, there's a table, and there's one wall, one side against a wall, and the rest is open to the rest of the restaurant. Which is the seat everybody wants to have?
Facing the space.
Yeah, with the wall behind them. Because as human beings, we want support behind us. You've heard phrases like, I've got your back.
Or universe
right?
has your back.
Yes, right? Well, we want to create the exact same experience with your environment. So a wall behind you, and you want, so something solid basically, and you want the open space in front of you. And most people, when they place their desk, they think, no, I'm going to make better use of the space if I put the wall against the desk against a wall, right? Which it makes a lot of logical sense. But what I'm suggesting you do is turn the desk around so your back is to the wall and your desk is facing the open space. So your human experience is one of space and creation and growth. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. At least one thing I've done correctly.
Yes.
But you're right. And when because I'm working from my living room, and when I was trying to find the space for my desk, I did place against the wall, and it's very comfortable. You know that your computer is not going to slide away, and you can put the notice on the wall. But it also not just the wall in front of you, but because the open space was behind my back, and it kind of consumes the energy, so to speak, when your back is open, especially when your back is against the entrance doors. I think it's even more uncomfortable.
Shall I tell you why that is the case?
Yeah, sure.
Let me explain. So when there's open space behind you, what happens is subconsciously there's a part of us watching our back. So our attention goes backwards and it's distracted on a subconscious level. So if you imagine you've got 160,000 thoughts a day, and you really want as many of them possible looking forward into the business, into the creativity, attention on task, but at least 120 or 1,000 of them, I don't know the actual statistic and ratio, are actually thinking, it's a bit open back there, okay, well, right? And so what it's doing, instead of having your energy facing into the task and the business, your energy is getting scattered like that. It's literally going all over the place. So that's why that happens.
Thank you. It was amazing. I'm so proud of my intuition, to be honest, because how I felt like instantly that you need to be a guest. I'm very pleased with myself. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Inga. Honestly, it was an absolute pleasure to meet you that day. You have a very lovely energy. You really, really do.
Thank you. So thank you. I will put also all the details how people can connect with you if they want more, and also if they have additional questions.
Thank you very much.